I'm Tara. I am a trainer here at Xcel, and I've been a keto coach for the last 3 years. Keto is my specialty. So I have a lot of online clients that I train all over the world in keto. I go to all the ketogenic conferences. It's very much my world. I have one coming up in a couple weeks. I kind of wish this was after that one because in 2 weeks there's a conference called the Metabolic Health Summit in LA where keto science meets society, and all the leading experts and scientists and researchers from all over the world come and speak and things. So I will tell you right now, I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I have a handful of nutrition certifications, and I'm also obsessed. So this is like what I eat, breathe, and sleep all day, every day, right? So I love sharing what I've learned because I think keto is fascinating. It's basically saved my mom's life. She has type 2 diabetes. I've had friends whose lives have been changed from anxiety and depression, hypoglycemia, and of course, weight loss, right? Everybody loves keto because of the weight loss. But my goal tonight is to, hopefully by the end of it, you see that the fat loss that happens on keto is just a side effect of getting healthy and doing something amazing for your metabolism. So that's my message here tonight. And I want to start off by asking, who is keto already in here? How long? 8 months-ish? 3 years? Anybody? Oh, 3 weeks? Okay, cool. Who isn't keto but has kind of looked into it? Okay. And then this is like your first intro to keto. Okay, cool. And then is there anybody here who is interested in keto for something other than fat loss? Like that's not your main reason for looking into keto? Sweet. Okay, cool. I like it. Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to start off by giving you guys a little history of the ketogenic diet and fat and our country and what happened, because one of the biggest obstacles that people face when they start keto is this like mind switch of, I'm supposed to eat a bunch of fat. No, I'm not. I'm not supposed to eat fat, right? So I want to start off with this. I apologize, this is super loud and it's kind of scratchy, but this is a commercial from 1998. I actually remember this commercial. Some of you guys might recognize it. And this kind of gets the point across of what I'm trying to say. Sorry, no, spoiler alert.
It's the Eggo everyone's waited for. New Eggo low-fat waffles.
Oh, you can just go ahead. You need the low fat more than I do. Well.
So irresistible, people are sinking to a new low to get their hands on one. New Eggo low-fat waffles.
Oh, go ahead. You need the low fat more than I do.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
How low would you go not to Lego?
You need the low fat more than I do. You need the low.
Anybody remember that commercial? That's from 1998. I remember that little lady with her roses, right? And so we were all raised in this environment of thinking that the lower in fat something was, the healthier it was, right? So like a low-fat Oreo is a healthier Oreo, right? Low-fat graham crackers are healthier graham crackers. Like this is what we were raised in. And it's a huge mental switch to go from that environment that our whole country has grown up in, every single one of us in here has grown up with that, to now like, I'm gonna get all my calories from fat. It's a little bit of a mental hurdle to get over. So that's what I want to talk about. And I kind of spoiled it by showing you guys the next slide, but I will give this wonderful gift bag away I don't know if any of you are gonna get this, but if you can guess who in the 1950s, a guy who was responsible for making low fat demonized. Does anybody know his name? It's a weird name. Sorry, I put my mouth on it. It's mine now. Anybody know? All right, we'll do it. We'll do another giveaway. All right. Did he also do that? I'm not sure. He did? Okay. Is this guy right here, Ancel Keys, okay? So if you haven't heard of Ancel Keys, he has affected your life so much. Because back in the 1950s, he was a physiologist in the nutrition field that was trying to figure out why everybody was getting heart disease, right? And so he had a hypothesis that it was high fat and saturated fat in the diet. And so he did this huge research study with 13,000 middle-aged men from 7 different countries around the world and studied what they ate in their countries and how that correlated to their heart disease levels. The only problem is he did this little thing in science called selection bias, I'm sorry. Selection bias, where you omit the results that don't support your hypothesis and you only keep the ones that do support your hypothesis. So he took out France and Sweden and Switzerland, where they were eating very high-fat diets and had low rates of heart disease, and he only kept in the countries that supported what he thought. And so this study went like the 1958 version of viral, right? Like everybody was like, oh my gosh, Ansel Keys figured it out. This is why everyone has heart disease. It's from all the fat. And in 1961, here he is. I love this picture because he looks like a villain. Doesn't he look like a doctor villain on this Time magazine? Here he is on the cover of Time magazine, and he was put on the nutrition committee for the American Heart Association and changed the dietary recommendation for the United States to save your heart to be low fat, right? And so who remembers this, right? We all remember this. I remember specifically in 5th grade having to draw this, right? And drawing the little diamonds and circles for fats and sugars on the top, right? And so here's what we were all raised. This is from 1992 to 2005. The American recommendations are to base our diet in bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. I actually remember my mom telling me that our pediatrician told my brother when he was like a younger teenager that cereal, boxed cereal, was one of the healthiest foods he could eat because it was fortified with so many vitamins, right? So this is what we were raised on. And then, of course, this is fats, oils, and sweets. And we didn't eat the sweets sparingly, but we definitely were like, oh, okay, I'll just not eat the fats then. Like, I'll just do, I can't believe it's not butter, and that's, gonna be my life, right? So this is what we were raised on. On top of that, during this whole time period, the sugar industry had huge, deep pockets, and they were putting out all kinds of advertisements. If you want to entertain yourself, go to John Oliver on YouTube and look up like old sugar ads. He is hilarious. Like, I wish we had time to show them all to you. But look at this. Sugar can be the willpower you need to undereat. Oh my gosh, that like breaks my heart. And right here it says, enjoy an ice cream cone shortly before lunch, so you can undereat real food. Like, this is the stuff that was being put out there. And there's a ton of other ones that are like, sugar is a great appetite suppressant, or sugar can give your kids energy quick, right? So, I mean, even still, like recently, it was like, what do you get your kids before a game? Snickers, right? You know what I mean? So this is the attitude, this is like what we've been led to believe our whole lives. And this is the result, right? So this is 1958 to 2014. All right, this is what a low-fat diet with lots of processed sugars did to the diabetes rate in the United States and the obesity rate. Okay, so this is 2014 here. This was projected when they did this chart. This is 1975, right? So this is what happens when we go low in fat and high in sugar. And exactly the opposite of what Ansel Keys said, right? And so, of course, by this point and somewhere in here, we realized, okay, something's wrong. And so more and more research started being done on fat. And by 2014, this was the cover of Time magazine. Eat butter, right? And it says right here, scientists labeled fat the enemy, why they were wrong, right? So we finally started having a turnaround. By now, most dietitians and nutritionists will say, like, definitely make healthy fats a big part of your diet. Fat is good for you. And I'm so sorry to make this look like science class. I'm not trying to bore you guys, but these are mostly notes for me. Everything on here is so exciting, at least to me. Like, I'm a nerd about my body, and if I can make my body optimized on the inside, I can change my whole life. That's how I look at it. I look at nutrition as like a smart drug, as like a way to get ahead in life, right? The more optimized you are on the inside, the better your life is, period. And so healthy fat builds your cell membranes. And one thing to know about fat is that our bodies can make carbohydrates out of protein. Our bodies can't make fat. We have to eat it. So every single cell in your body is constructed out of fat, right? So we definitely want to be eating it. I think of my poor mom. who has type 2 diabetes and loved fat and was always like, oh, I feel so bad, I know I shouldn't eat this, and then would eat her low-fat diet, and now she has diabetes. You know, it kind of breaks my heart. I think of people like that, like how much her cells have suffered from the lack of fat her whole life, right? And then fat builds the myelin sheaths around our nerve endings, so that's kind of huge. Like, we're like electrical, like our nervous system is a huge part of who we are. It powers us and operates us. We want those nerve endings protected, and it's built out of fat. Our brains are 60% fat, roughly. So like, man, you guys, like, just even the fact that we don't eat omega-3 fatty acids very often, like EPA and DHA for our brains, it's horrible. Like, if you're not eating fish or seafood on a regular basis, you really, really need to be taking like a really high quality fish oil or a krill oil. I like krill oil because it is more shelf stable. A lot of fish oils go rancid. Don't get your fish oil at Costco. That's like a little disclaimer. Make sure it's like a really high quality. But if you go krill, it has antioxidants naturally in it, so it helps it stay more shelf stable. Anyway, side note, our brains need fat really bad. Also, like, we have fat soluble vitamins that need fat to like get through our bodies. And I know that just sounds like, oh cool, vitamins, but like one of those vitamins is vitamin D. And vitamin D now is looked at as more of a hormone than a vitamin, right? And what happens when one of your hormones is off? It's a whole cascade of problems in your body. Excuse me. And the other ones are like vitamin A and E and K, like these are big hitters in our body, and we need fat to be able to get those dispersed through our bodies and our bloodstreams. And then fat also regulates our hormones, which completely changes your whole life and your outlook and who you are and how you feel. And it also keeps us full and balances our blood sugar. So fat is super, super important for us. So the next question is, okay, fat's good for us, so like, why can't I just add more fat in my diet? Like, why go keto? Like, why go all the way with fat, right? Like, why am I gonna restrict carbohydrates to the extreme and just live off fat as an energy source? And just like a little basic nutrition, if you don't know, the two main energy sources for your body are carbohydrates and fat. Like, we can kind of make energy out of protein, but it is a long process and it's hard on our body. It has to be turned into carbohydrates, so you don't want to live on a purely protein diet. So fat or carbs, those are our energy sources. So when we go keto, when we're massively restricting carbohydrates, I'll tell you, you can be in ketosis just by restricting carbohydrates and not eating high fat, right? So when we fast, we go into ketosis. But if we don't eat fat, then we have no energy source, right? And that's not fun for anyone. So that's why when you do keto, you have to eat enough fat to have energy, right? But I'm gonna tell you why the ketogenic diet is kind of awesome for more reasons than just fat loss, okay? Why keto? First of all, this, because, all right, let's think about it this way. What if you were like, were born and the earth wasn't like this at all? We didn't have like industrialized food. We didn't have like the whole culture the way we have it, so that we can just eat all day whenever we want. We're just like on a deserted island somewhere. Like, we would not, first of all, we wouldn't be having anything that raises our blood sugar to the level this kind of stuff does. And we wouldn't be eating it as often either. And so eating stuff like this and this and this, I put Subway on purpose instead of McDonald's because Subway is not healthy. And this, right? Like, how many people in America, how many people's pantries look like that, right? That's all the 10 for 10 sale, right? If you're lucky, then you get a whole bunch. And this is dinner. And that's dessert after dinner, right? This stuff is massively spiking our blood sugar in a way our bodies were never meant to be spiked, okay? Like, because naturally occurring carbohydrates like vegetables and beans and rice, they all have fiber and things that help slow down that blood sugar response. This stuff doesn't. This is like, and when our bodies get that all the time, they become, I don't know if I really like the word addicted, but it's definitely dependent, because your body is so used to getting that high and that high that then it goes down to this low, low, low. And when it goes in that low, the problem is like we've had sugar so often that our bodies can't tap into its own fat stores very well anymore. So what would naturally what would really happen is we would wander around in the wild. We would like find some apples and we would have our little glucose and like maybe we had some meat or something. And then we just wouldn't be able to eat that much. Number one, you wouldn't eat that much when you're just eating all natural foods. And then you would like wander and walk and you'd burn through it and your body would instantly start tapping into its own fat stores. And that's how you would have energy and you'd feel fine. But we don't have that anymore because we've lost that ability because we're so addicted to these insulin, these huge blood sugar spikes that now when it crashes, our body's like, I need it now, right? This is an example of somebody's blood sugar before keto. This is their blood sugar after keto. I also want to tell you, if anybody tells you that sugar isn't addictive, they're full of it. This is like something I see debated in the nutritional community a little bit, but it's like, one, we know it lights up the same place in the brain as cocaine. It releases endogenous opioids when you eat sugar. And a lot of you guys, who knows Drew Manning, the Fit to Fat guy? So I work for Drew part-time, and he's a keto guy too. Drew, if you don't know him, he did an experiment as a personal trainer where he got fat on purpose, right? So in 6 months, he gained 75 pounds just from, he was like super shredded, and then he went on a diet of the standard American diet, like cereal, orange juice, chocolate-covered granola bars, zingers, chips, Mountain Dew, pizza, like all the typical stuff that we eat in America. He gained 75 pounds in 6 months doing that. And then he lost it all again in 6 months, right? And the most interesting part of Drew's experiment to me were the 2 weeks going from fat to fit. Because he said for 2 weeks he lived absolute hell. He could not believe how addicted he was to sugar. He was like, I felt horrible, I felt sick, I hated the healthy food, it didn't taste good anymore, I was in a bad mood, I was completely addicted to sugar, right? So sugar, it is addictive because of that insulin response. And I'm gonna pause right there. I wanna add, I used to eat so bad, you guys, excuse me, I didn't know better. I was totally the McDonald's mom, take my kids to McDonald's or Taco Bell, and M&Ms were a cool snack in the middle of the afternoon, that's just how I ate. And when I would try to lose weight, I was always like, man, how do these people do it? Because I'd always cave and have my cake or my M&Ms or whatever. And I'm like, how do they have so much willpower? And now I realize it's because I was so dependent on glucose that there were biochemical reactions happening in my body, making it almost impossible for me to get over that hump. Now that I almost never eat sugar, it's not hard. I don't even get tempted anymore because I'm not addicted to it, right? So you have to get over that hump. And that's one of the reasons I love keto, is because it really helps people get over that hump. They get super insulin sensitive and they don't have those crazy sugar cravings anymore. It heals you from that in a way. So these are think of the foods I just showed you, the typical American diet. This is real food. This is all keto. This is how I eat now. That's real food. And it's delicious. Okay, so balanced blood sugar on keto means no more hanger, right? Who gets hangry? I used to get so hangry all the time, right? It was so hard. It was almost like you get home and you're like, I'm gonna kill somebody if I don't get food in my body right now, and I don't have that anymore. I can wait and wait and wait. I'll be honest with you guys, excuse me, as a busy, I have 4 kids, I'm working and running my own business. I'm so busy sometimes that I can't even eat until the afternoon. And I kind of love it because I'm so fat adapted that my brain energy actually gets better and I get sharper and more clear as that fasting window extends. That's awesome. That is such a cool, liberating thing for your life. It's easier to make good food choices because your blood sugar is balanced, so you don't have your body fighting against you saying, eat the ice cream, right? You're becoming more insulin sensitive, so lessening your chance of getting diabetes down the road. That's huge. It also is gonna help you stay leaner because insulin is the fat storage hormone, right? And you're gonna have solid energy throughout the day. That's what most people like about keto, right, Rhonda? It's so great to have not have this afternoon dip where you're I'm gonna have to take a nap for a second. You don't have that anymore. You're just solid all throughout the day. Okay, really quick, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background because I want you guys to know that keto is not just some like, people are like, oh, keto's some fad diet. Keto has been around for a really long time, so I just want to give you guys that background information because I've noticed a lot of my clients and friends who do keto, they get a lot of backlash from their friends and family who are like, oh my gosh, you're doing that like Hollywood, like crash diet. Please don't do that. You know, they get a lot of that. So I want to let you guys know that there's actually a ton of science and research backing the ketogenic diet. And basically what happened was back in the 90s, there was a movie producer named Jim Abrams. Not J.J. Abrams, I thought that at first, it was a different guy. But he had this son who was like 1 and he had epilepsy and it was so sad. You can go to the Charlie Foundation and look on the little video, it's so sad. This little cute little like baby practically, he's just having like seizure after seizure after seizure. And they had him on epilepsy medication. Now, they didn't know at the time, but the ketogenic diet was developed in the 1920s as a cure for epilepsy and people were using it with great results. Like, I mean, it was like, all day long seizures, no seizures for epilepsy. Like it was kind of like the cure, you know what I mean? But as pharmaceuticals got more prevalent, people just started using pills instead. And so Jim Abrams was like shoving these pills down his little 1-year-old baby's throat and he was like, this can't be right, like there's gotta be a better way. And so he went out to find a better way and he found out about the ketogenic diet. It was kind of like this lost alternative treatment for epilepsy. And so they put him on a ketogenic diet and all of his seizures stopped. So from like 100 seizures a day to 0. So he was like lit up about that. He's like, I got to get the word out about this. And so he started using his clout, I guess, in Hollywood. He got on Dateline and that kind of got the word out. And then he had like a movie with Meryl Streep and put the ketogenic diet in it and just kind of started getting the word out. And after that, he started the Charlie Foundation to get the word out on the ketogenic diet in 1994. And this is 1994 right here. And this is like how many ketogenic diet studies started going after that. So pretty awesome. So this is only going to, let's see, that's 2017. So you see it's like super spiking right now. There's new research in keto coming out all the time. So if you want to become like a nerd, there's so much you can find out about keto and it's not just for fat loss. Okay. All right, now let's get to the point, right? Now you have your background. So how do I do keto? This is like my favorite meme for keto because I've seen this face many times. It's so accurate. Okay, and that's like what I don't want to have happen with you guys tonight. So if there's anything where you're like, what are you talking about? You keep saying this word or you're like going on and on about something, just write it down on the paper that I gave you so we can talk about it in the Q&A after. I don't want you guys leaving confused. I want to bring clarity tonight. Okay. Excuse my grossness. All right, the bottom line, to simplify keto, the bottom line is when you don't have glucose in your body, you go into ketosis, that's it. So like there's some people, like my mom, she doesn't track her, she's type 2 diabetic, right? This is how she manages that. And by the way, she's off all of her medications, all her insulin, all her blood pressure medication since doing keto, and she's down 40 pounds, right? So she just tracks her carbs. She just eats fat freely and just make sure she doesn't go over in her carbohydrates. So it really can be that simple, right? It really can be just keep track of your carbohydrates. Make sure you stay under, when you're first starting, I recommend to stay under 20 total grams of carbohydrates when you're first starting, which is really hard, which is like almost like meat and eggs and maybe a little bit of spinach mixed in with your butter, you know, and your scramble, okay? And then move to 20 net carbs. And then after that, you can start playing with your levels because for everyone it's different. Like me, I have a lot of like muscle mass and I train like crazy, and I also am very carbohydrate tolerant naturally as a person. So I can have more carbs in keto, than like maybe like an 80-year-old lady who's sitting in her house all day with no muscle mass. Like there's no way she can have as many carbs and burn through them like I can. Does that make sense? So you have to be a little bit of a biohacker and like experiment on yourself. And you'll have to test your ketones to find out how many carbs you can really handle in a day. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so just remember that you're going from a sugar burner to a fat burner, and that means that you can either get energy from dietary fat or your own body fat. So there was a guy who fasted, I think he was under medical supervision. I think it was like 380 something days, right? Like this really, really big guy. And they had him on like, vital nutrients or whatever through an IV, but he fasted for over a year. Isn't that crazy? He just feasted off of his own body fat. So this is why people lose so much weight just pretty easily for the most part on keto, is because you are now very efficient at tapping into your own fat stores and using that as energy whenever there's not energy coming in for food. Whereas when you are a sugar burner, your body's like, get more sugar, get more sugar, get more sugar, right? And you've got to reach for that snack. But in keto, you'll notice you can go like forever without eating. There's a trainer here, I think he's gonna come in a second, I hope, because we're gonna test his ketones. He just got done with a 3-day fast. And that was his introduction to keto. He went ham. So a 3-day fast, he's like, I don't even feel hungry. I feel like I could go for 5 because his body's just feasting on its own fat. It's crazy. All right. So yeah, again, keto is a high fat. Just remember, it's high fat, moderate protein, extremely low carbohydrate diet. So this is what it looks like. About 75% of your calories are coming from fat. Now we talked about like that mind switch that's gonna have to come. That's a big mind switch from low fat Oreos, right? So 75% from fat, 20% from protein, 5% from carbs. So I'm gonna show you, so people are like, what does that mean? Like, what am I actually eating, right? So here's some examples. Mostly, for the most part, this is it. You're gonna eat a lot of fatty meats, so any meat is on the table, even bacon. I know you guys know that. I know you've heard that about keto. I personally, like, almost never eat bacon on keto, just FYI. Or like processed cheeses, like I don't really eat. You can eat cheese on, see, I didn't even put it on there because I forget about it, but I choose to eat like a ketogenic diet that's like, looks like a healthy diet. Whereas you can eat a keto diet that's like McDonald's without the bun, but that's not really healthy, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, you're gonna eat like all the meats, seafood, fish, vegetables, avocados are a go-to, guacamole, butter, healthy oils, nuts, and seeds. We'll talk about what healthy oils are. So here's some example meals. This is from my keto program. You guys can see that like this is not an unenjoyable diet, right? This is New York strip steak with bacon, broccoli. I mean, that's delicious. And a ribeye with butter melted all over it with eggs cooked in butter, right? It's not, that's the thing about keto is like you can lose weight and your food tastes really, really, really good. So here's like a day of keto. This is also from my program. Breakfast would be like coffee with heavy cream, some lettuce wrap, bacon, chicken, ranch wraps, grilled ribeye and asparagus with melted butter and herbs. Here's another day, like if you don't drink coffee, that's fine. You can just eat a regular breakfast. A lot of people choose to do coffee with fat in it because it gets you like super laser focused mentally. But you can eat real breakfast too. So like a meat lover's omelet, a lettuce wrap burger with bacon and cheese and mayo and all that, and grilled salmon with buttery asparagus. So that's like a day, an example day of keto. All right, so how to get started. I recommend fasting. It's the fastest way to get in ketosis. Like you might as well, fasting's really good for you anyway. We should be doing it regularly. Fasting is so regenerative and restoring for your body. So if you fast, the faster you deplete all the glucose that's already stored in your body, the faster you're in ketosis. So if you fast, it's like in a day, you're probably in ketosis. You don't have to do that. I have some clients that choose not to. They're like, not doing it. So you can just start eating ketogenic and just extremely limit your carbohydrates, and it will just take like 2 or 3 days to get in ketosis versus 1. So either way. Okay, what to expect. So you can expect a little setback in energy when you're transitioning into keto. Especially in the gym too. That's probably gonna last for a couple weeks if you work out a lot. Just know, like, you know, your pumps are gonna be a little less pumped for a couple weeks while your body adjusts to this new energy source. Also, you should know that you can get more easily dehydrated in keto, so you really need to stay on top of salt and water. And I recommend using like an electrolyte powder. It's the easiest way. Like you can, so your electrolytes like that you need to have balanced are sodium, potassium, and magnesium. I like to just use an electrolyte powder because they're just in there and you just put it in your water and it's good to go, right? So I have some I'll recommend in a second, but just make sure above all that you're like salting your food generously. And there's another mind switch, right? Because what does salt do? Give you a heart attack, right? You can't have salt. Yes, you can. We were wrong about that too. So especially on keto, because carbohydrates make you hold water in your body. So when you don't have carbohydrates in your body, you get dehydrated really fast. And even if let's say you're drinking a gallon of water a day on keto, but you're not getting any salt, there's nothing holding that in. You're just diluting your kidneys, and that's dangerous. So you need to make sure you have enough salt on keto. So just salt it up, and it tastes amazing. And there is a little natural response in our bodies that if you need salt, it tastes good. Once your body has enough salt, it stops tasting so good. I know you guys learned that on salt and vinegar chips at some point in your life. All right. Okay, another thing to expect is the mental hurdle of just changing your habits. So like if you're used to having chips while you watch TV at night after your steak dinner and you can't have those anymore, that kind of sucks for a little bit. But once you get used to it, it just becomes your new life. So you just got to get over that little mental hurdle, and you can have some pork rinds if you need crunchy, okay? And then just remember that once you start producing those ketones and your tissues become more adept at using them, then the energy is going to come, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. I have never felt like this before. And you can also expect like higher satiation, because fat is very satiating, and also because keto enhances the sensitivity and production of leptin, which is your the hormone that tells you you're full. It's your satiation hormone, right? So a lot of people, and I've kind of noticed that like a lot of like extremely overweight people get like drastic appetite reduction on keto. Like some of them are like, I'm struggling to eat more than like 700 or 800 calories a day. Is that okay? That's a question I get. And the answer I would say is like, yes, for maybe a couple days, but you don't want to be doing that long term, or you're going to downregulate your metabolism. You don't want to end up like the Biggest Loser people, right? And like not be able to eat anything and still gain weight. So just, it's okay. It's always okay. But fasting's great for you, right? And that's eating nothing. So it's okay to undereat a little bit sometimes. You just can't do it all the time. So one thing I really encourage to help with that is actually exercise. It will increase your appetite. And then you'll get like all the metabolic benefits. All right, testing your ketones. Let's see. Could somebody get Tyler? Can you get Tyler, Caitlin? Thanks. All right. All right, so there's 3 different ways that you can test your ketones. And this is the one that you want to go with. I'll just make it easy for you. You want to go with blood testing. That's the best way. So just so you know, a lot of people do, who's heard of pee strips, like the urine strips, right? So a lot of people do these because 1, they're really cheap, and 2, you can like get them at Walgreens or somewhere locally. Whereas this stuff you have to order online, and people don't want to do that. But the problem with the pee strips is they will tell you how many ketones your body is excreting and not using. And so at first it can be helpful because you're like, at least you know you're making some, right? And so you're like, okay, I'm in ketosis, that's cool. People get all excited. And then by the 2nd week, it goes down to this color, which means there's like almost no ketones in your blood. And they're like, I'm doing everything right and I'm not in ketosis. And they are in ketosis. They're just not wasting any, they're using them. And so it becomes unreliable really quickly. So just, I don't even bother with this. I just tell my clients to just order this right away, and they can just test when they get it in like a few days, you know? So testing blood tells you how many are actually circulating around in your body. That's the best way. And if anybody's curious, you want a 0.5 or higher. So somewhere between a 0.5 and like 5. 5 is really high. Most people are going to be around a 1 or a 2. Okay, but you want to be at least 0.5. You ready? Yeah. All right, this is Tyler. Tyler just did the 3-day fast. Hold on, where'd my bag go? Hang on a second, guys.
For me, more importantly was the mental clearness, and even more important, from an ankle injury, knee injury, thoracic mobility issues. I know for me that the inflammation has been really tough, and by going, it was one of those things that was approached to me, and it was just a 24-hour thing, and I knew the benefits from going 3 days, reducing the inflammation, as well as helping with the gut relining the stomach lining, the intestines. So overall, just pure health. From clarity to feeling better to reducing inflammation. And to be honest, I've never done a fast, And first day went by and I was like, okay, that's not too bad. And so I went for it. I went for the 3 days and I was able, like I felt so good on the third day. I was actually telling Tara, I woke up on the third day, I was laying in bed, I usually get up around 7, and I woke up at 6, and my brain just going, like that clarity, and I wasn't used to it, so it was almost like trying to tame a wild horse. And it was like, calm down. So I got up and I was like cleaning, and I was like, what's going on? I should be hungry. And overall, definitely went through some lows, and definitely went through some good spurts of energy. Things that helped me get through it were simple things like a Bulletproof Coffee, making sure I still had MCT oil, as well as getting some fats from the butter in the Bulletproof Coffee, and of course the caffeine, right? And then I'd go home and I'd have bone broth just to kind of flavor, get the taste buds going. But overall, it's been really good, and I'm really happy that I ended up doing it. And I'm actually really looking forward to the next 8 weeks and approaching this ketosis.
I'm so sad I didn't bring my meter because I wanted to show you guys how to do it, and I wanted to see how deep he was in the ketosis doing a 3-day fast.
I had a lot of fat holding on, so that would be another reason I definitely wanted to slim up for the spring.
Yes, bonus. Thanks, Tyler. Sorry, I forgot that. Dang it. Oh, by the way, the reason I asked him if he got cold is because I do after I fast, and the reason you get cold sometimes is because so much of your blood goes to your digestion to digest that food. So the reason he did a 3-day fast, and a lot of people, it's kind of popular now to do at least a 3-day fast, is because they say that you get an immune system reset that really boosts your immune system after 3 days, and it also helps your gut lining. So giving your gut a break, you think about how much taxing job that gut is doing all day, allowing it to have a break and heal. And that's why he was doing like bone broth, because it has collagen and it heals the gut lining and things like that. So kind of cool. All right, last one is the breath one. This is like the most expensive. I think it's like $200 or something, and it's not quite as great of an indicator because it's like acetone in your breath is like a byproduct of these ketones. This is the way to go. Just get a blood ketone meter. These are like $60 on Amazon for the kit, or if you go on my website, I have a affiliate relationship with them. They're like 20% off, I think. So you can go to CoachTaraGarrison.com and get 20% off of the Keto Mojo, but you can use any of the blood ketone meters. Okay, this is a tip that I got from one of my clients that he said he really loved, was to tell you guys to focus on what you can eat and not what you can't. This is how I'm very big. I don't like limited mindsets when it comes to nutrition. I think they create unhealthy eating habits, right? This like, I can't have it, all of a sudden, that's all I want, right? So don't think about what you can't have on keto. Just find the foods that you like and love having on keto. Like, I love coffee with heavy cream, and it will always be a part of my life. And I love egg scrambles with butter and guacamole all over them. And so I just focus on that. I don't think about like the stuff I can't have. I focus on what I can have and what I like to have, and I just make that my habits, and it becomes much easier that way. Okay, water and electrolytes. I can't stress this enough. So these are some different options. This is Ultima Replenisher. They come on these little like packs. You can usually get these at like healthy grocery stores, or you can order them online on Amazon. This is the one I love the most, Centerplex. It's unflavored. It has the perfect ratio of electrolytes for the human body, so I always recommend that one to my clients. You can also get Noon at like almost any grocery store. So like there's tons of electrolyte powders out there now. I think that's the easiest way to stay on top of it. And then I am a huge fan of Redmond Real Salts, as you guys can see, and they gave salt to all you guys, so you can all leave with some salt. I've actually toured their mine and everything, and it's really cool because I didn't know salt, like the white table salt that we get at the store that's like 25 cents or whatever, it's like stripped of all of its minerals, and they put anti-caking agents in it, and this stuff is just straight from the ground. Like it's crazy. This is probably gonna gross you out, but they're like, you can lick the walls in here, it doesn't matter because it's sterile. Like, bacteria can't be in here. It's so crazy. It's so cool. It's like an underground mine right here in Utah. So definitely support Redmond. And they have a whole bunch of products like seasonings and stuff that are like out of this world. So grab some salt on your way out. Okay, next thing, food quality does matter. So if you go on Instagram and you're like searching keto, you'll find all sorts of ways that keto are being done and keto's being done. And when I was first a keto coach, it used to upset me. I'm like, oh, please don't eat like I know Velveeta's keto, but shoot, But so this is a Baconator from Wendy's, all right? And this is a burger that I made. This is actually 2 hamburgers left over from Memorial Day that I turned into like a burger salad. Like, obviously, there's a huge difference on your health impact between these 2 options, all right? So just choose grass-fed beef, choose pasture-raised, choose all the like high-quality eggs. You want free, not just free range, you want the pasture-raised. You want the bacon that comes from small family farms, because it really does change the nutritional content of that food. Plus, it's not as stressful on our earth. Like, we shouldn't be paying like $2 for a whole chicken's life. I'm gonna make my little plea, like pay for something and don't eat as much. Pay for something that's quality and don't eat as much. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're eating a lot of fatty animal meat, we store toxins in our fat, so do animals. So just keep that in mind. So you want to be eating healthy animals, especially on keto. And be prepared to have healthy keto substitutes ready, okay? I love these guys, Keeping It Keto Cakes. This is Alex, she's the owner. She's like a mom from Utah County that just started this as a passion project. These things are out of this world. They're right here. She has them for you guys to sample. There's so many other companies too now, like you don't ever have to eat sugary garbage ever again because there's so many options like this now, but have this ready, because if you think like, I'm gonna be the healthiest person ever and I'm never gonna wanna treat again, you're lying to yourself, because you are, even though your sugar cravings are gone, like sometimes you're gonna want something else besides bacon, eggs, and avocado and burgers, so just have substitutes ready. There are a million recipes online too, if you wanna just make something at home. Okay, common keto mistakes. Too much dairy. Like dairy, it's okay to have some, but I mean, if you're drinking like a cup of whipping cream for breakfast and having a half pound of cheese for a snack, like that's not good for you. We all know that, right? Dairy is a little bit inflammatory. You can have some, but you don't want to go crazy on the dairy, because like that's when we start seeing people with like higher triglycerides and cholesterol and inflammation and stuff on keto. If you're eating a good healthy keto without all the inflammatory stuff, you're not going to have those problems, most likely. Too many processed foods. Again, you can eat like crappy processed meats and, low quality processed stuff on keto. Don't do that. Not enough salt and water, and then not testing ketones, not really knowing if you're ever actually in ketosis. Because there's this little place they call low carb limbo where you're like almost in keto, but you're not. So you're eating really high fat, but you're not in ketosis. That's called get fat land, okay? You don't want to be in get fat land. So you got to make sure you're actually in ketosis, and you need to test your ketones to do that. All right. Okay, I just have to make a plea for so I did not do keto for fat loss. I was like very, very lean when I started keto, but I was so intrigued by the brain boost. I'm very much into the biohacking, self-optimization route, and I wanted that. So one thing is, okay, what's a mitochondria? Who remembers from high school science class? What's it called? Yeah, the powerhouse of the cell, right? Okay, so and unlike our little science drawing, there's not just one in each cell. There can be thousands of mitochondria in each cell. And the more mitochondria you have, the more energy you have. And keto causes mitochondrial biogenesis, which just means creating more mitochondria. So you're actually literally creating the potential for more energy in your body when you do keto. That is awesome. Keto is neuroprotective. Again, it's going to protect those myelin sheaths at the end of our nerve endings. This is why it's so great for epilepsy and all kinds of neurological disorders, because it protects our nerves and enhances our nervous system. They are actually calling ketones, which I didn't go over, but when you eat fat and you don't have any glucose, the fatty acids get turned into ketones in your body, and that's what you're actually running off of, is ketones, right? They go through your liver. And a lot of people are calling ketones antioxidants because they do. They combat reactive oxygen species or free radicals, whatever you want to call them. They combat those in our body. Super cool. So that's why Tyler was saying that he was doing keto to fight all the inflammation in his body. Absolutely. That's a huge reason a lot of people do keto, is because it's very anti-inflammatory. Brain energy. So ketones pass through our blood-brain barrier. So a lot of people, especially my mom, for example, before she started doing keto, the doctors told us that she was pre-dementia, and it was getting really obvious. She was would forget where she was. sometimes, you know, and like didn't know what was going on and thought that it was a different time than it was and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that's like all healed, but I've definitely noticed a difference in her presence and her, like, you know, how on it she is with things since she's been doing keto, because she was type 2 diabetic for so long, and she kind of gave up after a while and was just like eating McDonald's and pumping insulin, and like your brain can lose its ability to metabolize glucose very well, but it never loses its ability to use ketones. It never loses that ability. That's what they're showing in the research. So here you have somebody whose brain has been suffering, which probably all of ours has been suffering a little bit from all the sugar and stuff that we eat. And then you have all these anti-inflammatory ketones. You get this influx of energy. And I believe it really makes you smarter, because it's not only that, but this thing down here called BDNF, that's brain, sorry, I don't mean to confuse you guys, but like, I don't know, this is so exciting, I just have to tell you. So brain-derived neurotrophic factors, like, huge word, but BDNF just means that you can create new neurons and new neuronal connections and pathways in your brain and keto enhances the expression of BDNF. So now you have a new energy source to your brain, and you're increasing your ability to make new connections and new pathways in your brain. That's huge. That's huge for memory and cognition. And then, of course, also keto enhances Gaba. So all of us are super stressed out all the time. We're like a society of fight or flight mode, I feel like. And Gaba is the brakes. So glutamate is like the excitatory transmitter. We love this. We're really comfortable in, like, at least I am. I know a lot of us are really comfortable in the, like, go, 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 achieve, be up, 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 come on, do more. But we don't like to, like, calm down a lot, and keto helps us do that by enhancing GABA. It puts the brakes on our brain, right? So that's pretty cool. All right, and then I just have a list real quick of all the things that keto is helping therapeutically. You guys know epilepsy, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, chronic inflammation, high blood sugar, obesity, heart disease, PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, fatty liver disease, cancer, huge waves in cancer right now with keto, migraines, anxiety and depression, and traumatic brain injury. So awesome research coming out on all these things that keto is helping for. Ooh, do you guys want to like stand up or ask me a question? I feel like I've been talking a long time. Everybody shake your hands out. Okay. I'm a Tony Robbins, you guys, right now. How come you're not doing it? Okay. All right. Real quick, cyclical ketogenic diet and targeted ketogenic diet. These are just some things that you might hear about. If you're into bodybuilding or like muscle building, you might want to consider a cyclical ketogenic diet. That just means you're keto all week, and then like for 1 or 2 days, you have carbs and you fill up your glycogen stores, and then you go keto all week again. And a lot of people have great results for building muscle on a ketogenic diet with that. Targeted ketogenic diet just means you eat carbs around your workout. So just like for a little performance enhancer. So the way you can think about it is like ketones are your fuel and carbs are like your rocket fuel. And we've been running off rocket fuel. All right.
Just curious on the target, is that something I'll be definitely interested in? I noticed with the caffeine even, it's definitely enhanced. Do you get the same effects when you add the carbs after you've been doing keto for so long? Like are you more sensitive to the carbohydrates?
Yeah, I've messed with it a little bit in running, and I would say so. Yeah, they light me up pretty well. So yeah, it's a good question. But I think because you're not used to it, you're like, ooh, lots of energy. And this is my final message on keto. Complex carbohydrates are not bad for you. This is something that now that I've been in the keto space for a few years that I struggle with, because I see that people like keto as their first introduction to healthy. And so they've got this like thing in their brain now that carbs are bad for you. Carbs are not bad for you. Carbs are part of a healthy metabolism. And so my message in keto, except for people who are doing it for a medical reason, like if Tyler's a great example, he's just doing keto to like enhance his health and maybe lose some weight and reduce inflammation. He doesn't need to be keto for the rest of his life. right? He has a healthy metabolism that can still handle carbs. So once he gets super fat adapted and teaches his body how to use fat, eventually someday he'll want to cycle out and bring healthy carbohydrates back into his diet, like all the vegetables he wants and some fruit. Fruit is really good for you. You know, it's good to go through a cycle of having some fruit again and some beans and rice, you know, high quality rices. So complex carbohydrates are not bad for you. So it's okay to have those. I just want to make sure I get that point across. Keto is just like basically a biohack that you can do to teach your body how to use fat like a boss. This is me. This is my message in the keto space. So keto in and out and metabolic flexibility, both of these programs that I've designed. This one I designed with another Jane Downs, who used to actually be a trainer here. We designed this metabolic flexibility program to help people come out of keto and gradually bring carbs back in. And this one does too. So if anybody wants like a meal plan, these are on my website, CoachTaraGarrison.com. But that's my message, is do keto, but you don't have to do it forever. Unless like you have diabetes or something, then you want to do keto forever. Okay. All right, common questions. How long should I do keto? So as long as you want, obviously. If you're feeling great on keto, keep doing keto. If you still have weight to lose and weight is going down, keep doing keto, you know? But if like you're like, I'm white knuckling it and I hate this and I can't wait to have more fruit again, 8 weeks minimum. Yeah, because that's how long it takes for the hormonal upregulation to occur. So 8 weeks. Do I have to track my food? No, but I highly recommend it in the beginning so you know what you're doing. So if you can't track everything, at least keep track of your carbohydrates in your head. And by the way, after that first week of doing 20 grams of total carbs, net carbs is when you subtract fiber and sugar alcohols from the carb count, and you can start going off of that, okay? Because fiber is going to slow down your insulin response. So like, it's very different to have 10 grams of carbohydrates from broccoli than 10 grams of carbohydrates from graham crackers, right? Because the graham crackers don't have any fiber to slow that 10 grams down. The broccoli does. You're not going to have as big an insulin response, so you can go ahead and subtract the fiber from the carbohydrate count. All right, can you eat too much fat? Yeah, I kind of did this in the beginning. I went crazy. I actually needed to gain weight. To be honest with you guys, like I had just gone through a divorce when I started keto, and I was so stressed, and I was very, very lean. I was like 11% body fat, which is a little low for a woman. So he's making a face. I know, it was a little low. So I was like, okay, I need to eat more. So I intentionally was eating a lot of fat, but I mean, I really got the job done. I actually gained like 10 pounds. This is DEXA scanned, like 10 pounds of fat in 4 months. So it is possible to gain weight on keto if you eat a whole lot of excess calories, just like any other diet. How come I'm not losing weight? Couple different things. So I get this question all the time. One thing is like I just got a message from a gal right before I came in here, and she's like, I've been on keto for 10 days and I've only lost 2 pounds. What's going on? I'm like, good, you're doing great. Just like keep going. My first message is be patient. Like rapid weight loss is not awesome. Just stay the course. Just be healthy. Don't worry about the weight loss. Worry about getting healthy, and the weight loss will come. The second thing is like you might be eating like way more fat than you think you are. There can be a lot of things going on, honestly. This is like hire a coach. Okay, this is like hire a coach, but at least like start tracking your food and be patient. Those are the biggest things I would say. Why am I constipated? So I have to say, like, you gotta watch your poop in keto. You gotta, in general in life, if you're having like bathroom problems, that's a real thing. Like you need to probably talk to a nutritionist or someone about that. That's like a huge problem in your body that can be fixed. And so a lot of people will get constipated in keto because of the reduction in fiber. So I would say just start increasing your vegetables, leafy greens, digestive enzymes. You can take something called betaine HCl in the middle of your meals to increase stomach acid and help you digest. Start doing probiotics, but yeah, you just want to increase your fiber usually. Or you can do coffee with MCT oil, and that usually takes care of the problem real quick. All right. Should I intermittent fast? Who knows what intermittent fasting is? Who does it? Mitch, how what's your hours that you do it?
So I
Okay, cool.
At least 12 hours. Do some like fast cardio in the morning.
Yep, so that you can do like a 12 and 12, and you can go all the way to a 16-8, which means for 16 hours of the day you're not eating, and 8 hours you are. I mix it up. I don't believe you should do the same. So for me, with diet across the board, I see it a lot like training. Like I like to mix it up, so I keep my body guessing. Everything works until it doesn't, right? And so some days I'll intermittent fast, some days I don't. But typically when I intermittent fast, I'll start eating at 11 and cut it off at 7. So it's like an 8-hour eating window. Really, really good for you, by the way, to like not eat after like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, because it will help your digestion and help you sleep better, because it like wakes you up a little bit at night when you're digesting.
Does it depend on what time you're going to bed? Like if I like to go to bed at 1.
Yeah, so at least like 2 hours before bed, you'd want to stop eating.
Right. So again, but with intermittent fasting, it would be like, okay, if I don't go to bed till 12 or 1, I'm giving that 2 hours, but that also would prolong to when I start
Right.
again. So instead of maybe 11 or 12, it's 1.
Exactly. Yep. What should I tell people who tell me not to do keto? My answer for this is like, know your why. Like, know it really well. Like, know why you're doing keto, right? And have a reason that's more than just fat loss. So then you can tell people, right? What happens if I cheat? If you cheat in the beginning, you just did yourself a huge disservice. You're only cheating yourself. You're trying to, so Dominic D'Agostino is like a leading researcher in keto, and I love this analogy that he gave. He said, when you do keto, your body is like an airplane factory that you're turning into a ship factory. So you're taking out all the infrastructure and you're moving things around and you're getting everything all set up to make airplanes. And then on Saturday you decide to make ships, and on Saturday you decide to make airplanes again. Your body's like, okay, I guess we're making airplanes again. So like, you're not just like on a diet, you're actually changing the metabolic state of your body. You're training your body to use ketones now as energy to go all the way to your tissues and your organs. So you really need to stick with it. But if you don't, get over it, move on, and just get right back on the next meal. Don't like guilt yourself. I blew it, now I might as well give up. Don't do that. Don't ever do that on any level with your food, ever. Like, don't ever have guilt or shame around what you eat. If you ate it, you chose to eat it. I ate it, you chose to eat it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and move on. Get over it. All right, that's my spiel. Questions? I'm done. Thank you guys for listening. That was like a little longer than I thought. Thanks. Okay, who has questions?